such sights to show you.
Hello and welcome to the 9th episode, that seems crazy to say that, of Daymares. I'm Adam Lewis and I'm joined by the maniac.
Aksel Spencer.
Was that your maniac laughter?
Yeah, it's kind of like toned, so it's kind of like creepier.
Is that what you do after every murder? So, in this episode then, we are chatting about Jordan Peele's debut feature. I was thinking about this a minute ago. We talk a lot about people's debuts at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, they really know how to make great debuts in horror.
What, The Witch?
We talk about Brandon Cronin. No, sorry, that wasn't the debut. We talk about Ari Aster's debut. Now we talk about Jordan Peele's debut.
Robert Eggers'
debut.
Saint Maud. That is a Rose Glass.
Yeah, it's Rose Glass' debut.
So we're continuing that trend now. It's about, roughly half of these episodes. And
yeah.
If you've been living under a rock and you don't know what Jordan Peele's debut film is, it's Get Out. So, Aksel, do you want to give us an explanation of the film?
Well, it's basically about this African-American guy, played by very talented Daniel Kaluuya, going to see her white girlfriend's white family for the first time. These are very important notions, by the way. I'm not being, racist. The whole film is pretty much about how they kind of welcome this African-American character into their white family, but it's all kind of a charade. They are actually luring him into this very interesting and horrifying tragedy. I'm not going to spoil it if I explain this. They're not as welcoming as they seem. Let's say that. We're going to talk about more about what happens later on, but we do usually want to keep the story a bit more spoiler-free. You can bleep out some of that if you feel need to, because I was about to spoil a big central point in it. But yeah, it's basically about racism, and in this case, at the start, very kind of subvert racism, so you don't really realize these characters are actually being racist. That's probably one of the reasons why it's a strong film and why the message is so well done, because it doesn't go overboard with the racial signaling. And I want to do a disclaimer, because in case you haven't realized, me and Adam are white as fuck. Like, I don't know your heritage, Adam, but am I right in saying you're white as fuck?
Yes. As far as I'm aware, I know there's Irish in me, and there is a bit of French.
That must be conflicting for an Englishman. Yeah, and I'm like as Finnish as you can get. I think my some ancestry was Swedish, but that's about it.
I mean, if we really want to get technical from this, we all come from the same fucking thing.
Well, sure, but
the same single cell that started all this. We're all from that.
The same amoeba. So we're gonna play a little clip for you to get a kind of hang of what kind of film we're talking about, and it's this kind of scene where Daniel Kaluuya's character, Chris's future mother-in-law, tries to kind of, let's say, help him get out of smoking with just a tiny little bit of hypnosis. So take it away, Adam.
Tell me when you found it. Come here, Chris. Look at me.
Found it.
Where was your mom?
She was coming home. She wasn't home.
From work? And what did you do?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I just sat there.
You didn't call anyone?
No.
Why not?
I don't know. I just thought that if I did, it'd make it real.
You're so scared. You think it was your fault? How do you feel now?
I can't move.
You can't move.
Why can't I move?
You're paralyzed. Just like that day when you did nothing. You did nothing. Now, sink into the floor.
Wait.
Sink.
So, what makes this film interesting that we're talking about is because usually we talk about a lot of indie films that are very, not a lot of people went to see them, but this is actually a very historic film. In a sense, it, for one, was nominated for an Oscar, which mostly doesn't happen for horror films. It's like Silence of the Lambs, Sixth Sense.
Did Sixth Sense get an Oscar nomination?
Yeah.
For what?
Not a clue. I remember seeing that not too long ago. Let's see. Sixth
Oh my
Sense.
god. So, Best Picture, Best Original Screenplay, Best Film Editing, Best Supporting Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Director. It's not even that good of a film.
To be honest, I haven't even seen it fully. And I haven't seen even the bits in years.
What? Fucking
I mean,
Oscar.
if someone like M. Night Shyamalan isn't exactly my forte, and I have a good friend who sometimes listens to these episodes. He loves M. Night Shyamalan. He fucking loves him.
Why?
He does. I do quite see. He has a very eccentric kind of. I love Giallo because it's so fucking weird. M. Night Shyamalan is really fucking weird, but it's not weird into my taste. But I can completely see why some people do like his films, the horror films. Not defending After Earth or Last Airbender or any of those. But to talk about this week's subject, Get Out is... I think you put it quite well. You called it social horror.
Yeah.
Which I think it just describes it very wonderfully. And it was made on a budget of...
It's like $1 million, wasn't it?
4.5 million.
Oh, right, no. That was way off.
Yeah. Which is pretty standard for, like, small horror movies. And it grossed 255 million.
Yeah.
Which is enormous. It was a massive film. Made Jordan Peele a star, And it made, I think, if I remember correctly, Jordan Peele became the first African-American director to have grossed over $100 million on their debut film.
Really?
Yeah. But that's like, knowing how few they have actually been compared to, white directors.
Yeah.
It's so sad. And I'm glad we got this film with the message it had and with the director it had, because it's such a perfect match.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever watched his Key and Peele sketches?
Not really. American comedy isn't my... especially like sketch comedies aren't my thing, but apparently they're quite good.
Yeah, they are really good. I mean, there's one where, like, I don't know the guy's full name is, him and a guy whose last name is called Key. There's one of those where they play like two slaves on like a little auctioning platform. They keep someone's trying to auction them off. First time round, someone else gets sold, and they turn around and go, "Yeah, well, obviously they'd buy him over us, wouldn't they?" Another person comes on stage and they go, "All right, well, we're definitely getting sold now, aren't we? So, but I'll see you later." everyone else goes for the other guy. I'm explaining it really badly, but they do have like a lot of good like racial humor in there.
Yeah.
There's like another one where he's a new guy in a neighborhood, and he sits next to a guy who doesn't understand that country music is pretty racist.
Mm.
So he keeps singing his country music to him, and he's going, "That's pretty racist, don't you know?" And he goes, "This isn't racist. What are you talking about? No. I'll play you another song. Don't worry about it." Like,
oh, I need to see those.
yeah, like he is quite good. So when people go like, "Oh, what a great debut," I do think people forget like he has written and directed stuff plenty of times.
Yeah,
but he's never made like a full feature film. But I feel like when people look at that, you could always see that he had a great film in him. But I don't think people ever thought he had a great horror film in him.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing. Like people didn't really expect it to be any good because that was you had this comedy professional who's never done horror.
Yeah,
directing a horror film. It's like what? And now he's become kind of thing. Like a lot of people who've known for comedy doing like thriller or horror. Of course, Jim Carrey was renowned for that because he did with the film with the number.
Oh, Numbers. I think it was called.
Oh, was it really? All right.
I know what you're talking about, but I think it was called Numbers or something like that.
And I think Robin Williams did. Was it like Photographer or something? I think that was a thriller.
I know he did like some stuff here and there. Like obviously he had his like fun little family films, and then he would do some quite serious stuff here and there.
Yeah, like series. Yeah, but like did he do thrillers or horror?
I know he did a film with Christopher Nolan called Insomnia, where he plays a villain in that.
Yeah, that came around the same time as 1 Hour Photo, which is I think that was the film I was thinking.
Oh, okay, I've not seen that one.
So and now like after Jordan Peele, the director of the Halloween reboot was it David Gordon Green?
Oh God, possibly.
He was known for comedy.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like John Krasinski. He was in The Office, and then he does A Quiet Place.
Yeah.
And it was never something I thought about personally up until I think it was after both Get Out and A Quiet Place came out, where people were going, well, no, like comedy and horror are actually very similar. Like you have to set up the punches and then land them properly, because if you don't, you will fail. And Get Out does that really well.
Yeah, and it's like the thing with horror and comedy is they both are genres that evoke specific emotion. So it's like very natural, kind of like knowing how to make people laugh. You kind of learn which strings to pull to, get a certain effect.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, obviously, I think people were probably taken aback a bit when you went, a horror film by a guy who does comedy sketches. Right, okay. And I mean, I'm sure we'll get into this later, but I think plenty of people were taken back for two different reasons. I mean, maybe we'll get into it now. Obviously, it's a great film. And then there was another part where people went, but it's not a horror film, it's a comedy. And it was mainly white people who said that.
Yeah. It's so weird. Just like, for one, people clearly understand a genre can have, like a film can have multiple genres.
Yeah.
It's normal. It's quite common, actually. I don't think there's ever really anything that is one genre. It's always multiple. And it's just, of course, Jordan Peele has this great ability of giving like levity to his tensity, because he is such a, master of comedy. He knows when to put a joke there, like little joke there and bigger joke there, and it all kind of balances it out. At no point did I really feel like it's getting too funny.
Oh no. I mean, what he tends to do, like, there is a certain pattern to the film where it'll have like the lead up to the like creepy, scary bit. You'll have the scary bit, and then I would say about 50% of the time you'll have like a joke at the end of it where it kind of like eases the tension. I mean, like, the ending is a big point on that one, where you have like quite easily, maybe was it 15 minutes of just like pure tension, and
Yeah.
to some degree, it's very light body horror. And then you have that ending where it goes, "I'm TS motherfucking A," or something to that effect.
Yeah, and it's like, now that we got into spoiler territory, I mean, it's bound to happen quick with this film, and if you haven't seen it, really, go see it. It's been on Netflix. Not sure if it's anymore. It's on Universal.
They have a streaming platform.
Pardon?
They have a streaming platform.
Oh, is that? I don't know. I just think of the link you sent me. I don't know what the fuck that was.
Oh, that thing. So, like, behind, just to pull the curtain slightly, before this, Axel had a bit of trouble, like, trying to, like, rewatch the film, and Universal, every now and again, will have, like, a code in the Blu-ray copy, where you can, like, I'm not sure if it's a case of you download it, but I think it's a case of you can, like, put that code in, and you can stream it on your phone or on your laptop or something like that.
Which is really cool.
Yeah. Like, it's quite a neat idea. I'm surprised no one else has done that before.
Yeah. But the code had expired, thus I couldn't rewatch this film in preparation, but I've seen it multiple times before. But we'll have to trust Adam's knowledge more than mine in, like, more what happens in the
I
film.
can completely screw this, can't I? I can go, yeah, this happened. And you go, I don't remember that. Like, it definitely happened.
Yeah, and like, the thing with this Get Out is, of course, it inspired this social horror genre, which, to be honest, I think it was kind of born with Night of the Living Dead. But it wasn't. It was kind of like underground. It wasn't really acknowledged. And like, for reasons we discussed on our episode on the Dead trilogy, it wasn't really. It didn't came about until Get Out, and then we got Antebellum, and we got His House, which we are going to talk about at some point because that is a brilliant film.
Yeah.
Those are two other films that are very much about race, or kind of like your background as a
about colour. It's like it's
person of colour.
Yeah, it's like Get Out is very much about a black person's experience living in the real world, and then that is amplified through a horror film. I mean, just to sort of like briefly touch on the Night of the Living Dead, I wouldn't inherently put that. I understand why you're saying. You can call it social
it's
horror.
not purposefully. It's not purposefully.
It's very much something that was done by mistake. Whereas with Get Out, it is very much like, I am going to write this film about racism, and it's going to be a horror film.
Yeah,
and I mean, like, it's just through every point in that film. I mean, even like, I think they say it 2 or 3 times in the film where a white person says like, "Oh, I would have voted for Obama a third time," you know.
Yeah.
Like, that has been said to many, many, many black Americans. Obviously, like, I read something today where this film was written in the Obama era of America, so not in.
Yeah.
I think it was released in the Trump era, was it, or just starting that? I can't quite remember.
2017, I think it was. So that would have been Trump era.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
So obviously, a lot of that in mind at that time wasn't necessarily about Trump. It was about people going, "We're not racist. Our president's black. How
most of our presidents are black."
So a lot of the film is about like that hidden racism. How people don't, well, specifically white people don't see other people's racism. And that is amplified through that connection of a couple of people going, "I would have voted Obama for a time."
Yeah, and I think that's the like misconception of people going like, "Well, I'm not racist. I like black people." It's like that. Like, doesn't matter. You said something racist. You have racial tendencies. It's not about what you want to do. It's about what you do, and it's so. Like, painful in this film when the white parents try to be, or like the dad especially, played by Bradley Whitford, and tries to be kind of like cool and kind of like in the same kind of level with Daniel Kaluuya's character. It's very cringy at times. And it's kind of like, that's kind of racist.
Well, it's even like Rose's brother. Is it? He called Caleb, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he's called Caleb.
Yeah, I think so.
Where just immediately, like, he tries to show his dominance in that film. Like, the moment he meets him, he's trying to wrestle him, and he's immediately going, "Oh, well, come on!" He doesn't say it like as directly as I'm going to say it, but he does beat around the bush and says, "Excuse me." He does say something to the effect of, "Well, you're black. Obviously, you have to do something athletic." And
yeah,
again, everything's in your face in the film, like, and it kind of has to be, I think. Because if you're going to have a black person's perspective in this film, and you're trying to show people's like underlying racism, you kind of have to have it front and center.
Yeah.
But and this is what Jordan Peele does quite cleverly, I think, where he has it front and center, but he has it just on the surface enough where people who are watching that film can go, "Oh, I've probably said something like that before." where they can have like a moment to themselves and they can go, "Oh, fuck, I was racist at that point, wasn't I?"
Yeah.
Which to me is very clever. But yeah, just to like go back to the whole social horror thing. I mean, this to me is definitely the first film where you can have that subgenre freshly made, and now we're seeing more and more of it,
which is very refreshing.
Yeah,
given it's a whole, like, there has been. I mean, there has been films about kind of black anguish, if you want to call it. There was there's a film trilogy of I think it was called Tales from the Hood, which is basically anthology films of like short stories about, you know, African American communities, just horror tales. And I think the first one came out in the 90s, and was like, the last one might have come out like a few years ago, maybe 2019. So there's been kind of those horror about African Americans has been around, but Get Out kind of did it in a way that was just, for one thing, kind of like very steeped in kind of our reality, and that directly spoke to us in a way I don't think other films of that type had done before.
It planted the flag, didn't it?
But
really?
To be honest, I do go back to me and Adam being white as fuck, so there might be things we don't know about the history of this kind of genre. And if there are points we completely miss or don't understand, I do apologize. We are trying our best to kind of talk about this subject that isn't our forte.
Yeah, definitely. This now I have the difficult job of segueing into something else on that one.
Yeah, come on, it's awkward. Move on.
So,
well, I'll go back to you talking about the kind of like underlying racism. I saw a point where Daniel Kaluuya apparently was very familiar with the scene that they shot of the party scene, where he and his girlfriend, Rose, played by Alison Williams, go from like old white couple to old white couple who are like enamored by Chris's race and ethnicity. In a kind of like, they're not saying bad words, they're not hating him because of ethnicity, but they're kind of treating him differently. It's kind of like they have certain expectations, certain like ideas of what he is because of his ethnicity, which I think is kind of like the point of this film.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've experienced it secondhand. I was at a work party a couple of weeks ago, and there was a guy there who is from Cyprus, I believe, and someone went up to him, like, we were just chatting, and then someone else like came into the conversation, and somebody said to him, "Oh, so where are you from?" And he goes, "Oh, I'm from like He said, "I'm from this place," but what he meant was, I live in this part of the UK. And then she goes, "Oh no, sorry, where are you from?" So it's that straight away. I mean, and you could quite easily have transplanted that moment in time, in reality, and put that into Get Out, and it wouldn't have felt out of place.
Yeah.
Where it's not somebody purposely being racist, but it is somebody being racist.
Yeah. That's also the thing, like, it probably shows more in Finland, because of a good friend of mine who is like, one of her parents is from Finland, the other one is from South America. So whenever she goes to a store, they start to talk to her in English instead of Finnish, because of the, because
Really?
she's mixed race. They do that. It's horrible. I really can't believe people do that. And she's kind of like said it's, very not nice. And I can totally see that.
Yeah.
Because then you kind of, I think she said like she doesn't sometimes feel like she belongs in any nationality, because people don't kind of like accept her to either, or something like that. And it's horrible. And that's, again, racism.
Yeah.
Even though people at the cashier, you kind of like talk English, so I don't probably think, I'm being super racist right now. That's still racist.
Yeah, it's a whole like subtleness of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
you know what this is getting into. We basically, this episode gonna be, well, this thing happens, that's racist. And this thing, oh, that's racist.
well, I was going to say, I mean, obviously, later on in the film, all of those moments you're going to go, oh, they're not subtly racist, they're massively racist.
Yeah.
There is a moment in the film where all of that sort of like underlying moments do overboil and come right to the forefront. I mean, you do learn at that point where everyone who had a black person with them at that party kidnapped that person and transplanted them a new brain.
And like the thing I loved about this film is it's such a mystery throughout. Like, you see these things happening and you're kind of like, that's a little bit weird. That's a little bit unsettling. But you really don't realize what is actually going on until, to start explaining the brain transplantation or whatever. And it's just like, it's so brilliant.
Oh,
it's so unsettling.
And the way they explain it as well. I mean, he's strapped to a chair with an old-timey TV.
Mm.
And I can't remember what type of chair it is, but I know the chair's like filled with cotton. So there's subtext after subtext after subtext. Like, Garth Marenghi would hate this film.
And the thing is, there's so much symbolism in this film.
Yeah.
Like, so much. Like, there's the whole thing, they run into a deer early on in the film as they're heading to their parents. And later on, while Daniel Kaluuya is trapped under the chair, there's like a head of the deer looking down on him. So it's like switching of perspectives of the other one in peril. And, picking the cotton from the chair to save his life, to block his ears.
Yeah.
So he doesn't get hypnotized. Brilliant. Then all the
visitors. About to
visitors.
use that example as well.
Yeah, I knew you were, but I got the first. But then, like, all the white visitors coming in blue black cars, as in kind of like those black cocoons that all these people, this family's kidnapping, turn into.
Oh, yeah, and then you can even go like a little bit further with it and say the clothes that the black people are wearing at the house. So like they call them like the caretakers of the house, but they're obviously people that have been previously kidnapped, and they're all wearing old-timey clothes. And for the most part, I mean, I know especially with the guy, I can't remember his name.
Walter.
Yeah, Walter. He's doing old-timey stuff, which is like very like symbolic of like Southern America. Like, that's just racist as fuck.
Yeah, and then of course there's the whole thing where Walter, the brain inside Walter, is the parents of Dean's character, the father of the family, and his father was about to get into Olympics but lost the positions to Jesse Owens, who was famous for kind of destroying Hitler's idea of supreme race because he beat the white competitors. So there's this bit where he's kind of like running really fast, and it's actually just basically him trying to be faster than Jesse Owens.
Sort of reliving that memory.
Yeah. And it's so cool. You have no idea. When you see him running at you early on, you're kind of like, what the fuck is going on? But later on, you're kind of like, oh.
Well, I don't even... I think it's more something that you get on a second viewing.
Yeah.
Like, and I think, obviously, I'm a big advocate for watching films multiple times, but there are some films that reward you more for doing that. And I think this film is full of that. I mean,
absolutely.
I mean, there's a Shining reference in there, which I didn't spot until like the fourth time I watched it. I wasn't probably like paying attention too much to like other aspects of the film because I'd already seen those aspects. And the next thing you know, all you hear is oh my god, what's the room number called? 287.
Is that 403?
I can't remember,
Something
but
like
we're great horror enthusiasts. The room number in The Shining gets said over a tannoid, and then you're watching that and you go, oh, didn't notice that the first time.
Yeah, I mean that's in every horror film though. Every single
I
one.
know. Like I was playing a game recently, and the first thing I noticed was the carpet from The Shining, and I almost turned it off.
Yeah, like if you don't reference Shining, are you even making horror?
I mean,
but like
sorry, like just to stick with The Shining, even the title cards are reference to The Shining.
Yeah, yeah, it's really cool. Like I think he's also going to a forest as well at that point when it comes.
Yeah, it's like just really not austere. I think is the right word. But yeah, it's just like very in your face, and you go, "Oh, I've seen that before."
Yeah. Yeah, like what I was saying about to say, another thing I noticed on a second viewing was that all these cocoons, I'm going to call them cocoons, are basically wearing hats to hide the surgical scars they have on their heads from the brain transplant.
All wigs.
Yeah, and it's like, and the reason they are trying to get Daniel Kaluuya's character, I keep saying Daniel Kaluuya's character just because I like his name, and he's a brilliant actor. You should all know his name. He basically try to get him to stop smoking, but it's basically because they want to maintain his good, in the context of the film, black health, because they're basically selling him off.
Yeah, they don't want him to be damaged in any way.
Yeah. And so that like gives a whole other meaning why all those white people are admiring his physique so much.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a point in the film. What's the guy's name? The blind guy. When like
don't remember.
He takes 2 seconds out from the party, and just goes to take some pictures, and there's a guy just like sat on some chair away from everybody, and he's blind, and he goes, "Oh, I wish I had your eyes." Like again, on like a second view, and you go, "Oh, that's creepy." I just even saying it and thinking about it now, you kind of go, "Nope." Like,
yeah, and it's so weird because that character is in the context of the film basically the good guy because he doesn't care about Chris's ethnicity. He's like exception to all those other creepy old people. He just wants his eyes. It's just so weird.
Isn't he the guy? I might be misremembering this, but isn't he the guy that gets who's the transplant happening to? Yeah.
And I it's so horrifying. He basically dies mid-transplant because they never finish it. He just stuck there with his brain exposed.
Which is like that entire sequence there is just. It kind of feels like my first baby steps into a body horror. Like I
oh man,
like I would love.
Got so long way to go.
I know, like, and I kind of would like to see Jordan Peele step into like body horror just to see what he can do.
That'd be cool. We're gonna have to talk about body horror at some point. But yeah, I think there's like so much just to like about this film. I love the cinematography. It's not like anything extreme. It's all very kind of like subtle, but it flows so well. It all feels so right.
It's got great blocking,
and
hasn't it?
Yeah,
like it
does.
And it kind of seems like a nightmare just to set up.
Yeah,
like because I can imagine that dinner scene just being awful to shoot.
I mean, I think I saw a clip. There was like basically all but one of them are on the same side of the table almost. I was like, that's actually pretty smart.
Well, you can definitely tell they've gone, we're getting sick of this. Just all sit there.
Yeah, it's like 2 hours later. Fuck's sake, just sit there.
And then someone's gone.
We're filming from this one corner.
And then someone's gone, oh, this has worked, actually.
And the music by Michael Abels is also brilliant. Like, absolutely loved it. I think, if I'm not completely wrong, Michael Abels also did the soundtrack for Us as well, because I think I've heard.
Oh, like the Us soundtrack's brilliant. Like,
oh yeah, I like it even more than Get Out. So I think.
I mean, with Get Out, I can think of like the title sequence, the music there, but I can't really think of the score at all. If I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, and it's like Us when the film starts. That is etched to my mind. The score of this beginning with the rabbit cages and everything.
Oh, do you
just etched?
For me, it's that do you call it a fight scene at the end? We got that violin.
Oh yeah. Oh, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Was it Michael Abels who remixed that track? Of is it you put 9 on it?
You got 5 on it. Something like that, yeah.
The soundtrack is really good. And like, talking of Us, like for first viewing, I really quite enjoyed it, but it doesn't quite have the same elevation as Get Out to me. It's like,
I liked Us, and that's probably the biggest compliment I can give it.
Yeah, it's not as thought provoking as Get Out.
No,
to me, anyway.
I mean,
like this.
Go on.
Yeah, like there's a lot to like about it, but it's just Get Out is kind of stuck with me for life. Us was kind of one of those. Very good.
Yeah, like
moving on to the next one.
Yeah, like there's no like particularly memorable moments. I mean, I can think of those moments, but there's nothing like that sticks out that I can go, that bit, brilliant. Whereas with Get Out, there's just like you've got the sunken place scene, which comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, and then you kind of go, right, okay.
It's like a hint of surreal into this otherwise quite realistic film.
Yeah, and then it all of a sudden takes, like, for me, it bumps it from a very good film to a brilliant film that moment.
I mean, for me, like, Us, like, the one moment, I mean, that I really remember is when the little girl sees herself in the mirror.
Oh, yeah.
That is like one of the creepiest shots I've seen in any film.
I mean,
really.
The only bit that I can, like, properly remember is the bit where there's 2 twins in the house are getting killed, and then one of them goes to that Alexa fake thing. He goes, call the police, and he goes, playing Fuck the Police by NWO. That's probably the one bit I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, that is a brilliant moment. I love that. And that's kind of like the kind of comedy I love from Jordan Peele. There may have been, to my taste, a little bit too much comedy in Us, but even then, like, the characters played it very well, and it's also a very good film. It's probably kind of like scarier film to Get Out, but I feel Get Out is kind of.
I think it's got more horror, like typical horror moments, but I don't think there's any moment that to me sticks out as like any moment where I can go, that's creepy, or it's unsettling. But I don't know. There were bits for me where I watch that and I go, pretty much like what you said, where you can go, right, okay, it's a good film. Let's see the next one. Just to briefly touch upon this as well, because I think Get Out has the same issue as Us, where people have overanalyzed those films.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
I mean, I'm particularly more with Us, but I think Get Out has that same issue where people try and make connections where it's like very, very loosely they've made those connections. I mean, I know with Us, it's not particularly anything about. It's not a social horror film. There's no like underlying issues about racism or anything like that. It's got a black family in the film, but the film isn't about like the black experience or anything like that. And I can vividly remember when that film came out, Jordan Peele specifically said, "This isn't anything like Get Out. There's nothing in terms of like racism or anything like that. It's just a film I wanted to make." And
Yeah.
as soon as that first trailer came out, people were over-analysing that trailer, going, well, this harpens back to the African ages about this, and the other. And I'm thinking, right, the enthusiasm's amazing, but you're wrong.
Yeah.
And I think Get Out has that, to an extent.
Mm.
But obviously, there is a lot of subtext in Get
Yeah.
Out, and you can make those connections. But I do feel like at times, people have just... They're reaching for an answer that they want rather than what's actually in the film.
Yeah. That's kind of like usually when I analyze films, I really try not to go too much that way. Like, rather use the facts that I have rather than just kind of like, well, yes, well, the idea that Daniel Kaluuya's character is, going away from his home as kind of like slaves taken to America, clearly. Like, I don't know. It's you can easily go overboard with analysis, and it's kind of a point of analysis to kind of like, analyze. But it just this sentence stopped making sense like 5 minutes ago.
And that brings me on to the thing I wanted to mention, because it made me laugh when I heard about this. So the actress who plays she's called Missy, is she? Rose's mum?
Yeah, Catherine Keener.
So she is in oh my god, Being John Malkovich.
Oh yeah.
So there is like a fan theory where those two films are linked.
Yeah.
And she's trying to find like a substitute to John Malkovich so she can relive that experience.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great fan theory.
Yeah.
Of all the shit ones you could have, I think that one's pretty great.
Yeah. And that's like, fan theories are fun because they are overboard and completely insane, but they kind of fun.
Yeah.
But then there's like, when people talk about, Stanley Kubrick, had lots of hints, like in Shining, that he faked the moon landing. It's like, do you guys seriously think that this massive director is kind of like so overconfident that he's kind of little hints leaving in Hollywood film? Like, yeah, I faked the moon landing, and nobody wants you to know, but I'm just hinting at it. It's like, what? Nobody would fucking do that. It's so fucking stupid.
To be fair, it is. I think that is something Stanley Kubrick would do. Like, obviously, I don't believe that the moon landing was faked, but if it was, and it was directed by Stanley Kubrick, I could definitely imagine him doing that. Like, he always seemed like that much of a knobhead to do something like that.
The ultimate troll.
Yeah.
I could imagine NASA just calling him after Shining was like came out like, Stanley, what the fuck are you doing?
Like, what is this? Are you being serious? You're gonna blow up everything. Like, no, don't worry. The audience fucking stupid. Don't worry about it.
Oh, but yeah, it's Get Out is very one of a kind of horror film, even though they've tried to replicate it since a few times. But like Antebellum and His House are, very different movies, but also deal with social horror. And like I said, we definitely need to talk about His House at some point.
Yeah.
Because I love that film so much.
It was another one that I recommended. Thank you.
Yeah, you've recommended a few good films to me.
I only
like
recommend
His House.
films.
Well, His House is probably like the scariest film I've also seen in a long time.
Yeah, I'd say the same as well. Like, it's a film that does jump scares properly.
Yeah, but we kind of made a decision not to talk about it too much in this episode because we really don't want to lump all these amazing horror films together just because they are kind of in the same genre that is fairly new. Because all these great artists, people of color, and even like from other kind of, let's say, like cinematic minorities, like LGBTQ, and even women, because they haven't gotten much of a space in director's chairs or writing rooms over the last fucking 100 years. So let's celebrate that. Let's do more episodes with these people.
Definitely.
Rather than lump them all together.
But would also make life easier for us. Rather than talk about 6 films in a 1 hour podcast.
Is there anything else you want to talk about Get Out that really comes to your mind?
From the top of my head, I mean, I want to talk about more like Daniel Kaluuya. Because have you ever watched Black Mirror?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
Some episodes.
Have you watched the one that he's in?
Not that I recall.
So I think he's in one that's in season 2, I believe. It's called like 100 million credits. I think people who don't know, like Black Mirror is a like an anthology TV show by Charlie Brooker in the UK, where essentially think, oh my god, the Twilight Zone, but more modern and more like based around technology. It's not a thing like technology is bad. It's something that's more about humans using technology for bad things.
Yeah, like society.
Yeah. And Daniel Kaluuya is in one called 100 Million Credits, where he plays it. Have you heard of like X Factor? Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I know what an X Factor is. Are you kidding me?
like stuff like Britain's Got Talent and stuff like that. It's where people they don't have jobs. It's like the world is people wake up. Everything's very gamified. Everyone has avatars. They all have to work out to earn money, essentially. And if you earn 100 million credits, you have your chance of freedom, where you go onto this TV show and you show off your talent. And he,
oh wow,
like I've explained it very poorly, but he. It's one of those things where you watch him in it, and there's a bit towards the end of it where he gives his monologue, and it's so fucking good. And you just kind of go, you have to blow up one day. You have to be in every film possible at some point.
Yeah.
And then obviously Get Out comes out, and you kind of go, right, okay, please be the film for this. And next thing you know, he's in Black Panther. He's in Widows. He's in fucking Queen and Slim. He's doing all these films now where he's even in Judas and the Black Messiah recently. And he's now got a position where his name is so big. He has that kind of draw power where you kind of go, I know him from Get Out. I know he's a good actor. I'm going to go and watch it. And that was like, I feel like people outside of Britain, well, I say people outside of Britain, probably definitely people who had seen him in Get Out for the first time as well. But there were definitely like a lot of people who saw him in Black Mirror and went, please be in a good film one day. Like, please don't fuck this up. And next thing you know, he's now this person who's doing great films. And I don't actually think he's been in a film. Like, I mean, I know Widows is probably a little bit less around racism and stuff like that, but even that film is still about what's the word, representation in that film. Like, the film's not specifically about that. It's about a bank heist, but that film is built on representation. And rather than going off and doing like these high budget fan favorite easy films to watch, he's gone on and actually done a lot of good with his career.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was kind of wasted with Marvel, I think. Like,
in Black
he
Panther,
could have done so. Yeah, his character is so minuscule.
Oh, to be fair, I've not actually watched Black Panther, but
really?
I know he's in it, and I know that he has like not
he doesn't
maybe
get up too much in that film,
doesn't he? All right, well, ignore that. I said Black Panther then.
Yeah, but it's a massive film, especially when talking about, you know, kind of like black cinema. It's a massive film.
Yeah,
and it has great actors. it's so on the tip of my tongue to main actor. Was it Chadwick Boseman?
Yeah.
Was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And, you know, as well as the rest of the cast, even the white actors. But Daniel Kaluuya is also like, when it comes to actors, he's on a whole nother level. Like, Get Out really showcased that to the world.
Yeah.
Like, the hypnosis scene is just chilling.
It's
because of his performance.
Like, you just kind of get the sense like he's not someone who does things half-assed.
Yeah.
Like, he's either got his
Did
full body in the door, or he's not in it at all.
Yeah. Didn't he get his start, like, in Skins or in Betweeners or something?
Do you know what? It wouldn't surprise me, considering that seems like a rite of passage in the UK.
Yeah. I could swear I've seen him in one of those two. Or, like, one of this kind of, like, you know, English teen show. I'm gonna check this out because it's bothering me. Where?
I know, I'm trying to find it now as well. But for people, like, just to stick on Black Mirror, that's on Netflix.
I mean, that is, like, if you like sci-fi horror, you know.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Black Mirror is absolutely. There's, apparently, like, I haven't watched too much. I heard that, like, quality changes a lot. But when you find the good ones, they are really, really good.
Yeah, originally it was like a Channel 4 thing in the UK, so we didn't have much budget around it, so they had to do a lot with very little. And then it shifted over to Netflix, and they got a lot of budget for it. And I think it was like the 5th season, it kind of went a bit downhill. But everything else prior to that is spot on.
Yeah. And yes, Daniel Kaluuya was in Skins.
Doesn't surprise me.
And apparently he also did some writing for that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, he must have been quite young.
Well, I think he's like 30,
so that's
mid-30s
really
now, isn't he? He's 32.
Yeah. Wow. Good on Daniel. Like, he absolutely deserves all of this. I'm actually also really excited to see Jordan Peele's next film. I think it's called Sleep.
It's called Nope.
Oh, it's Nope?
Yeah, Nope.
Okay, I was thinking there was like one short word or something.
Which, like,
but Daniel Kaluuya is in it, I believe.
Yeah, he is. No one knows anything about that film. Like, everyone knows it's just a horror film. The poster for it looks amazing.
Yeah, I think it's like not yet shot, at least not completely.
I know it's out next year.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of time for production. In that case. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Whatever Jordan Peele comes up with. He's kind of become one of those, like we've talked about this before, he's one of the kind of cornerstones of the renaissance of horror. With, you know, Robert Eggers, Ari Aster.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, sort of like more in the Western world. Like, I'd say if like prior to like 2010, like horror films were a bit lacking.
Oh yeah,
like, they were just very much like crappy jump scares. Let's make as much money as we can.
Yeah, it's like at the midpoint of 2010s, there started to be, you know, better ones.
Yeah,
like Witch and
you had your like more art house horrors, and then I mean I know at some point we'll speak about James Wan because I think he has really been at the front of that as well. Because Conjuring to me is a great horror film.
Oh, it is.
Insidious is a great horror film.
He's kind of been like one of the spearheaders of like popular horror.
Yeah,
this kind of like easily digestible horror that is like masses go to see. Which Get Out is to an extent, but it's kind of like I'd say smarter than traditional popular horror.
Definitely. I mean, the fact that it's so polarizing as well. I mean, like I know we briefly spoke about it earlier on. Like some people think it's a comedy, some people think it's a horror, and
yeah,
even to do something like that on your first film is quite a special thing to do.
Yeah. So, what do you reckon? How many teaspoons out of 10?
Teaspoons. I was wondering which one you're going to use.
I was really thinking like, oh, what can we use this time? How many teaspoons out of 10 would you give Get Out?
I'd give it a 10.
You know what? I think we have our first tenner.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't put a foot wrong. The writing's great. Like you said, the cinematography's great, the blocking's great. The production's great.
It flows perfectly
Yeah.
from moment to moment, scene to scene, shot to shot.
And just the way
So
it deals with the horror and eases
Yeah,
the tension is brilliant.
Yeah, I just want to say massive props to the editor, Gregory Plotkin, because that is editing is not easy. Having a film flow like that is not easy. Brilliant job.
Are we going to end on this without chatting about the alternative ending?
I mean, now that you brought it up, I think it's time to say goodnight. See you next time. Now that you brought it up, I think we have to talk about it because it is. I'm so happy they went with the ending they had.
Definitely.
Because that I understand, like, it would have been great, but it would have been so depressing.
It'd have been a little bit too real.
Yeah.
Have you actually seen the alternative ending?
I've seen it once, I think, somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not fun at all. Like, he's in prison, he looks very depressed, and then he just kind of ends with him walking down the hallway in like prison get up and handcuffs, whereas ending it on a moment where you can go, what's the best way to put it? Like you've been holding your breath for so long, then you think the police turn up, and then to have it to be the TSA guy whose name I can't remember.
Rod?
Yeah, I think it is. And from there, it's such like a good switch up where everyone in the cinema kind of goes, "Oh, thank fuck."
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it in the cinema, sadly, but I could totally see like the moment the cop car pulls out, pulls up.
If it pulls on him, that's,
like, almost...
that's dangerous if it pulls on him.
Well, I could imagine the whole audience kind of like holding their breath at the moment. And then the door opens, you see TSA, and the Rod steps out. It's kind of,
yeah,
fucking God. Because that was about to get to absolutely too real. And it is a very heavy film for non-white audiences.
Oh,
because of course, even some white audience, I'm sure they can relate, but it's kind of like, because I know we don't relate to it in anywhere near the same way.
I mean, I know, like, I've read stories. I mean, no one reacted like this when I saw it, but I know I've read stories where, like, I think it was like an American cinema, and I know American people like are very animated when they go and watch films in cinemas. But there's like a couple of stories of like people like genuinely screaming at that sunken place scene.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think that was kind of like, I think I read Jordan Peele's idea with the sunken place, kind of like systematic oppression or silencing people of color.
Yeah. And
yeah, I can imagine people relating to that feeling because it's very real.
Yeah.
So yeah, like having the ending it works better for the film because kind of like it gives hope in a way, like, you know, of new wind and kind of new time in cinema, which certainly there have been some wheels turning. It's a very slow process, much slower than it has any right to be. But it really feels like Jordan Peele started some change with Get Out.
Yeah, I think it's like in maybe like 10 years from now, we'll just have like a slew of like great films.
Absolutely. So that's Get Out. Go see it if you haven't. Next week is going to be our 10th episode. So we're going to talk about something big.
Yeah, so I think the way we're planning on doing it is like every 10th episode we're gonna talk like about one of the biggies.
Yeah, cinematic horror masterpieces.
Yeah,
that's it.
And
so yeah.
Oh, go on.
Next week we're gonna talk about Texas Chainsaw Massacre by Tobe Hooper.
The very cheery film
Yes.
That everybody loves and no one hated.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why he made a film later called Funhouse. He's like, so yeah, we're going to talk about that. So stick around. But for now, I say thank you for listening. And have a good night. Don't let Freddy bite.
I was wondering if you're going to try and like tie it into Get Out then.
Well, I tried that at one episode, but then you wanted me to do the Freddy thing.
Yeah, that's true.
I can try to Get Out.
Go on, try it. Let's see how many pebbles you trip over here.
Sleep nice. Don't fall into sunken place. No, hang on. I can do better. Pull a blanket over your face. Don't fall into a sunken place.
There we go.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
See you next time.